So you'd have to fail task checks 2 turns in a row for that to have any impact, or fail by greater than your ELR. Interesting.
Okay, cool. How's that? So yeah, it's a little different on that aspect. Thanks Dwayne. I think Dwayne said no one can hear me. I think Dwayne's on YouTube. So yeah, I thought I had checked everything, checked on my crossed on my T's and dotted my I's, but yeah, Dwayne's there to save my ass. Thanks, Dwayne. But yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Craig. What was that again?
Oh, that was me, I think, Stu. I was just commenting on the fact that if I'm interpreting this right, then you'd have to fail that task check 2 turns in a row in order not to be able to move, or fail it by greater than your ELR, in which case you're screwed.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So you'll get at least one movement out of that roll. So, so yeah, absolutely. And that's a great read. Is to the effect that I'm sorry, it was Tony, right? Sorry, my bad.
Yeah.
That's a great read, understanding that you have to fail essentially twice in a row because you can't double time anyway, right? So you can't double time anyway, and the CX comes into play when you fail your task check. So you'd have to fail your task check, and the next turn you'd have to fail it again to not move at all. So essentially you have two chances. I guess like the second one is the big one, is to get those units moving. Now, knowing that, and knowing that you're the Germans, or the Russians, let's say you have, and again, what's the victory conditions in this scenario, gentlemen? What's the objective? Is it to fight, or is it to get off the board?
Get off the board.
Okay. So let's take this example. Let's just say that 7 zeros here. And I'm gonna clone these guys. And again, this is what you need to be thinking about before the game starts, or realize it during the game. So let's say we have something like this. And we've got our 9-2 up here. Let's say our 9-2's, way over here for some reason, some stupid reason. And then it's the begin. It's the it is the. This is interesting. Okay, this is interesting. So this guy gets CX, and again, this is all based on trying to interpret what this SSR kind of does. This guy CX, guys on the bottom aren't. 9-2's up here, right? How does the 9-2 affect our movement options? Other than simply adding 2 MF, right? How does these affect our movement options based on scenario special rule 4? What can he?
The 2 squads get the leadership modifier to their task check.
Right. So again, order. You know that I talk about order of movement all the time, right? Moving your units in certain combinations or certain sequences makes a huge difference. Let's say I want to bait these guys' shots out, right? Okay. Let's say I want to move these guys first. Let's say I want to move these guys first. And I want to maximize the effectiveness of those particular units moving. Let's say I've got Dread coming, or let's say both of these guys are CX, right? Let's just say that's the example here. What can we do to almost guarantee them to be able to move this turn? It is the beginning of Russian movement phase. What can we do? Remember the scenario special rule 4 and what was already pointed out before based on multi-man counters needing to roll task checks. We need these units to move up, and let's say you're having a mark type of day and you're rolling really high, right? We can get this guy here. If you want, he can go 2, 4, 6 into the woods, right? Because he's a leader, he doesn't have to pass a task check to move. Now the leader's movement phase is ended. Now we could try to move these other units, but Now let's say these guys' movement phases come up in N1, and we want to move them. What do we just help those units to be able to do by moving the leader first?
Pass their check.
Well, the SSR does seem to say it's must take a task check, which must be leader modified if possible, so they'll get a -2 to their roll.
Right. If your leader's moved, he still affects the task checks and morale checks of other units in his location. So these guys' task checks come out, they'll need 10s, and they get to move their merry way. Instead of possibly rolling like a 9, which means apparently he may not move, right? Because he's already CX'd and he failed his task check. So it might increase the chances of, I mean, it's a lengthy scenario, but this is something you might consider. And guess what? Say, hey, Stu, you're not using that 9 -2 to full effectiveness. Well, let's say there might be some guys behind him over here as well that were behind in the woods because everyone's stacking up. You just simply move these guys up with him, and now you have now a fire base again. You just move your fire. You just move your units. You do the old three card Monty, and you get other units where the 9 -2 is at. And that way he's not, quote, worthless just in terms of movement. You help units move, and you also can help these units fire in the advanced fire phase.
Stu, do you interpret that as being able to use that modifier when the leader's not moving with him? Because I was looking up just the rules, and there's a statement in 1.21. Unbroken, unpinned leader may use his leadership DRM to affect the performance of other personnel in his location unless they're moving separately. So maybe SSR trumps the rules, but
yeah. So no, if they're moving separately, yeah, exactly. That's a point. That's a point to be made there. Yeah, in that case, I would think, because that point comes up in ASL as well. So let's go ahead and just scratch that, so we don't, because that way we don't diverge thing. Let's say we can't use a modifier; he has to be stacked with them, just for simplicity's sake.
Yeah.
So, but a lot of times I know that, like, if a leader's in a particular location, in certain things a leader can modify, and other things they can't modify it. But that's an ASL. We're not going to worry about that. But that's another thing that you can consider is if these guys are going to be in big trouble, and if your leader's here at the end of the previous turn, right, in the advanced phase, you might consider advancing your leader on the CX guys to make sure they can at least move next turn versus the other units that, if they fail their task check, they can still move. They simply CX, right? And if you have CX units, again, you can leapfrog them. Obviously, this is where you might want to consider, do I want to stack or not? Maybe I want to get him to this building, and both of these guys are CX at that point, and these guys, moved over here. Now we might want to leapfrog, other than simply the protection of the building, we might want to leapfrog the 9 -2 to make sure these guys can move next turn, if you intend for them to move anyway. If you want to fire them, you obviously don't need to move. Well, technically, you might want to move the leader over there too as well, especially if you're going to fire them. So you see how simply that scenario special rule might actually affect your single leader that has a modifier in assisting your movement options. So that's one thing that really hasn't come up in any games that I've seen in terms of having to pass a task check. Obviously, the movement factors from a leader is one thing, but assisting those units simply to be able to move by helping them pass their task check easier. Because if these guys fail, they can still move. CX. These guys fail, no move. Which was sort of like rolling a 6 on a smoke roll, right? You roll 6, okay, I'm done. I'm done. At that point, you couldn't even fire them anyway. But if you maximize their movement capabilities, at least you have an option of moving them or firing them, as the case may be. So like I said, very subtle point based upon how that scenario special rule kind of comes into play. Now, if we had these guys over here, 9s, those guys fine, and we got a 9, one of them doesn't move. Does it make a difference? Don't know. It might in that time. Sometimes it won't. But units that break, again, other than ELR failure, the only guys that are going to break if they're CX are the Germans. The only guys are going to break because if this unit here rolls a 12 on his movement, he's going to break. No DM, just break. So, which which is kind of interesting in and of itself as well. So realizing that you can still move your units semi-effectively, at least without breaking, can be a big help in this particular scenario. So again, that's a crazy SSR. Let's see. Route or advanced phase movement is not affected. So doesn't matter if you're CX'd, it doesn't matter if you're prevented from moving, excuse me, during that movement phase, you may still route, you may still advance normally. Again, a lot of times you'll have rules that talks about you moving. You do not move in the route phase. You do not move in the advance phase. You move in the movement phase. You route in the route phase and you advance in the advance phase. So very different. Yes, you are displacing units. You are, quote, moving them from one location to the other, but they are not performing the act of moving. And so therefore, rules that describe acts of moving typically will only ever occur in the movement phase. So they're directing you to the movement phase. Whereas if a unit advances into concealment terrain against an enemy unit, what happens? What happens if you advance a unit into concealment terrain with an enemy unit? What can occur? This guy advances right here. This guy's in concealment terrain. What are we going to do in the close combat phase?
Roll for ambush.
Right. Now, we had, for those SKers that got to SK4, we have a bonsai charge. We've entered the location of the movement phase. What do we not do in the advance phase or the close combat phase?
You do not roll for ambush.
We do not roll for ambush. Why is that, Mark?
Because you didn't advance into the location. You moved into it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Subtle difference, gentlemen. Subtle difference. We did not advance in these locations. We moved into those locations. Now, if these guys moved into those locations and this guy was silly enough to advance into that location, then you would conduct an ambush dice roll or a die roll, as long as it fits all the prior, like concealment terrain, things like that, or concealed units. So there's a difference there, and that's a question that comes up often. It's a solid question because, you know, I'm in your hex. Why am I not rolling for ambush? Because you moved into it. You did not advance into it. So, and those subtleties can are often in scenario special rules all over the place. Very, very subtle things like that. And as we see here, scenario special rule 4 is a doozy. It really is a doozy. So I think we've got a decent understanding on how that rule should be done. So taking that into account, you know, knowing how it applies to the Russians, pretty much the 9-2 is the only one that's going to be able to affect those CX units. And Germans are the only ones that could pretty much break without any ELR or changes to the unit quality or something like that. They're the only ones that could break during a task check. So, you know, pretty much just going to CX our units if we fail, or make them not move if they fail for the Russians. And that is one thing we don't want to do, especially, you know, turn 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, because we're going to be probably in tough spots. We need to keep moving, so on and so forth. Or squads have broken and we need to take advantage of that, and all of a sudden we're starting rolling 9s and 10s. Nobody's moving, then the enemy rallies and sets back up his defense and shreds us or something like that. So all right, like I said, focusing on and understanding the scenario special rules, just like the discussion we're having right here, is what you should be having with your opponents in the games. Reading over these kind of like leisurely will get you into big trouble, and you'll miss a lot. You know, a lot of times, you know, typically you want to put the most important thing, like if you on your resume, you want to put the most important topics or whatever on the front. Your most recent job is on the front. You know, the most important stuff's on the top. You know, MMP and some of the guys, you know, the falling snow has, you know, doesn't in fact residual fire inhibition does not negate FMO. That's like 3 things that are super duper important. That should probably be second sentence. You know, if falling snow happens, boom, falling snow doesn't affect this shit. You know, just to smack you in the face, doesn't affect the stuff, gentlemen. Continue reading. and you're going to have a whole bunch of hindrance. Because as soon as I say hindrance, say, cool, I get to run out in the open. That's the first thing I thought of. I get to run out in the open now. Oops. If I blow by that one and start reading number 4, because it's a big fat paragraph, I need to pay attention to that because I'm already done with 3, I'll skip over that last line. Same thing in your rules. I mean, we've all read the starter kit rulebook. You know, there's that sentence in the middle of the line. There's that sentence at the end of the at the end of the column that we've just read 3 pages of. That's the very last thing that you need to focus on, and it's difficult to do when there's a lot of words in particular scenario special rules. Not a big fan of them myself, but you know, you just got to kind of trudge through them, and a lot of times those scenario special rules add a lot of flavor to the game. So you know, it's just one of those things you just kind of got to get through, you know. Otherwise, it's just your regular rigmarole game. Because they don't have the weather rules in SK, these are adding certain weather impacts. I do like number 4, to be honest with you. That rule is seen rarely in ASL, so having that included in here really changes your tactics, really changes things up a little bit, can help the Germans a little bit in slowing down the Russians. So I really like scenario special rules, which change the base play of the game. Really, that's what they're for. You know, I gotta be honest with you. I think more designers should add more scenario special rules into the game to make it fun. You know, even more fun, just by adding like a little something very simple, not overly complex, but say, hey, you know, if the 8-0 is within like 3 hexes of the 9-1, then the 8-0, you know, adds a -1 to rally dice rolls for other guys around him, and that's it. You know, something stupid like that. A real flair to it because, you know, they're around their commandant or something like that. You know, anything you could do like that, just snazzy up a scenario. I remember one scenario I had, the 10-2's got to take a puking dice roll, pretty much a puking task check at the beginning of his turn. If he fails the puking task check, then he can't move and he's like TI the whole turn. So little things like that add a lot of flair. Add some sort of kind of randomness to it. It's like, oh shit, you know, can I move that 10-2 leader? He's not going to be reliable. You know, he's semi-reliable, but, you know, 1 in 6, you know, actually 1 in 12, he's going to fail that roll, and I'm going to be stuck out in the open, sort of thing. So, doesn't really break the scenario, but it can add a lot of, like, you know, excitement factor if it occurs at the right time. So, anyway, let's go ahead and start this bad boy up. Keeping in mind those conditions, and let's see if we could track those conditions as we move along. I just kind of ran through here. My bad. I just kind of ran through it kind of fast on these. So he's setting them all up off board. And so 1, 2, 3. Now, does he pay 2 for that or 1 for that? Or 1.5 for this? What do you guys think? In I6.
I think you should pay 1.
Right. I would agree. Because it's not a non-woods. Or it is a woods. It's a woods hex. And so therefore, the 1 should apply. In my opinion. So 1.5. He paid 1.5 to go here because that's open. That's not a building or woods. So 1.5, 2.5, 3.5. So I think he could have gotten here. So technically this should be 3.5, right? So yeah, technically he could have paid 2 for this. We don't know, but it looks like he paid 2 for that one. 1.5, 2. No, 4.5. That might be 4.5, depending on how he counted. So I'm just want to make sure to see how he counts. And a lot of times it's difficult to know unless they're here. So the big stack comes through, takes a shot. A couple guys break. These guys move down here. And again, this is 6 movement factors the whole way there. 1.5, 3. It's like wheat field. Essentially, it's like grain or wheat fields. So 6 to here. And could he CX here? See, right here, he could possibly CX here. Because it'll be gone. He won't be able to fire on anybody. He'll be 1 hex forward. He could CX there and advance there and at least possibly get a shot off on some of these kind of goons in the first turn, or the end of or during the German turn. He'd be CX, and then, just like we discussed before, that CX on these units here, if they wanted to move, the leader can then help him make all those task checks, even if he CX to this location here. So that way it'll help him pass those task checks, because there's a giant stack of guys. He's got them all spread out, very hard to break them all at one time. And unfortunately, our medium machine gun broke right in the beginning, which is kind of crazy. Let's see, rally phase. The beginning of the rally phase, the other roll is probably the snow roll by Gleb Paskovich, roll number 17. That's probably the snow roll, so no snow change. Let's see if the falling snow changes. I didn't pay attention to the first run through here. So he's got a spread attack. How do you think the Russian plan is? What do you think the Russian plan is based upon his moves and attack right here? What do you think his focus might be? What do you guys think? Just as the Germans, if you're faced with the Russians coming like this, what do you think? What are your concerns as the Germans in this particular, setup or attack that the Russians are having?
I think it's just that I think he's coming balls to the walls straight at you, and he's going to run you over.
Right, in all areas, right?
Yeah. I mean, I just real quick, I played this solo after the last time we talked about it. And
cool.
That's what I did. I said balls to the walls, turn 1, 2, 3 for the Russians. And then I tried to enter, I didn't think about this right away, but then I tried to enter close combat with the Germans wherever I could. Because when you got 14-7 squads, you start entering close combat, you just reduce that and you keep it at a 7 difference. At that point, the Germans have no chance.
Yeah,
I probably didn't play the Germans very well defensively, but that's what happened. The Russians just overran them.
Yeah, I think it close enough. Absolutely, I think it close. So now there's no falling snow right now. So when the falling snow happens, then the Russians can, especially if the falling snow happens at the beginning of the turn, they get big in the game, right? If that bad boy happens, that's a +1 hindrance. That the Russians can really get on top of you. So as the Germans, you have to understand that if it starts snowing, your effects against the Russians are going to be very, very difficult. They're going to have an extra +1 modifier. It's going to make any building +3. And just like you said, if you're moving on him, you're going to have that +1 hindrances, to help you in your attack. And if you can overwhelm him, then everyone else runs by. And that makes it a hard play for the Germans if the falling snow occurs, especially if the falling snow occurs twice. That makes it a +2. That's almost just donezo. But nice spread attack here. He could win with any type of penetration. These guys go through, they win. These guys, the Germans, pretty much are stalemated right here. Or if they could destroy these guys in the bottom. Great, OBS was disconnected. I'm sure that's a glitch. Great. All right. So if they can destroy these guys on the bottom, not an easy task, then they could focus top. But again, something very difficult to do when you got 8 morale units and you don't really have a ton of firepower for the Germans. You just have 8 morale. Okay, breaks. The Germans scold, come back. A couple preps. A couple first fires. Here come the Russians coming down the road. Take some morale checks. We got a guy here. Lots of residual firepower. Again, the residual firepower will not... Oh, we do have falling snow. The falling snow counter has moved into the first space. So we're looking +1 hindrances, and that could be a reason why the Russians just busted ass down the road. The extra +1, because he's just hauling ass now, it looks like. Getting into good position, jumping into melee. Look at that melee. He's counter-exhausted. Half squad against a full squad. Why does he want to do that? He's got to roll for ambush, Why would he want to do something like this? He's definitely against the wall. That's a 2-to-1 -1 in regular close combat. This move here is strictly for what?
Tying them up.
It would hope. Yeah, he's hoping to tie them up.
Yeah. Time up.
And just, at least for the time being, eliminate that firepower, try to go around it.
Right. Let's say, okay, what else could he have done with the 248? First of all, this guy should be DM'd right here because we advanced in there, and he'll be DM. But that's beside the point. So what else could we have done with the 248? You know, ask yourself. Say, well, still he's throwing that guy away. Well, his plan is to tie this guy up. He's willing to throw a 248 away to tie this guy up, because if he's tied up, all these guys are just, it's just going to, you know, he can't fire on anybody. He has 1 unit, 2 units to stop. Good Lord. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 squads. So he's got this guy and this guy if he's tied up. If he doesn't, then he's got 3 units to fire, and now you have 3 to 6 hexes of residual fire that you have to run through. Is there a hindrance modifier when you're running through the a 2 residual firepower in falling snow? If he drops 2 residual firepower right here, or let's say he fires point blank, and that's 4. 4 residual firepower right here, and then these guys say, okay, I'm going to assault move right here. What's the modifier on the attack?
It'd still be -1, because according to the last sentence of SSR 3, falling snow does not impact residual fire.
Right. So the +1 hindrance modifier is null and void. Very much like an orchard. Like an orchard's a +1 hindrance modifier, right? Doesn't apply to any residual attack. Only TEM. So that's a 4-1. You know, regardless of the attack. So if we have another unit dropping down residual, these guys take free attacks, right? This is a rate of fire of 6 for firepower attack. That's a rate of fire 6 that will fire throughout the movement phase. So even if it's 2, even if it's 4 here, 2 here, whatever, he's still got to go through it. And we all know sometimes you go through those little small residuals, you're gonna get ripped up. And it happens more often than probably all want. So, if he moves the 248 up to here or up to here, what happens? Well, up here, if he breaks, he's dead. You know, up here, is he really adding anything to the Russian attack? Up here. Who's this guy going to fire at? Who's the LMG going to fire? He's going to fire at the 248 adjacent to him? Or does he have a better target? All right. Personally, I would ignore the 248 next to me, because why? Same reason here. If he jumps me in close combat, I have an advantage on him. I might want to take the chance of breaking the stack of 2. Maybe I can get a shot on this stack down here with a leader. This guy's over here in the woods wanting to flank me. This guy's in the open with 1 hindrance in front of him. You know, there might be better targets for him to fire at, right? And, you know, yes, it's a 2 firepower, and yes, it's double point blank, but he still might have other targets of opportunity. So right here, the catch is kind of a long shot to stay alive, time in melee, and it looked like he did time into melee. Now the Russians pretty much are free to do kind of what they want. You know, now they can either fire into here, or all these guys can fire north, or, you know, this guy could probably won't do anything to firing south. They'll probably all can firing north. And then you'll say, well, why won't you want to destroy this guy in here? Well, you could, but let's say this guy dies in our Russian half squad dies in close combat. Whose turn is it next turn? Whose turn is it? It's a Russian turn. At that point, you can decide to prep fire as much as you want in that location, because you already broke this guy with a 16 firepower +3, or probably +4. Maybe +5. That's a lot. +2, 3, 4. Yeah, you don't even want to add this guy. So yeah, there's a 12 up something shot right here. 12 up 4. 12 up 4 there. Not a terrible shot, but better than nothing. And then you can just engage this, you know, jump this guy in close combat. Yeah, hopefully that guy can break. So yeah, that snow's huge. Yeah, snow's huge, plus his little hindrance here. You know, if this guy dies, you get 4 squads behind him. So let's continue. Enough of that dead horse. Some more skulking back, pulling back. That guy does break up there with a defensive fire shot. He routes back. Cool. Yeah. Good spot. Comes back down here, keeping the 9-2 at bay. We are at turn 4. We are at turn 4 Allied. Now we need to start making task checks. Do we have anybody in trouble of not moving this turn for the Russians?
Got the units in the building right now. They can't. They may not be able to. Well, the one's in melee, so he's not going anywhere. So you got one unit. Yeah, one unit.
Yeah, he's the only guy, right?
Yeah.
So it's pretty much you get to move everybody this turn that you want, for the most part. For the most part, right? And if they get CX, they might get CX. So that guy rolls a 9. Task check was 9. He got garnered a CX, but he can't double time anyway. So he just moves normally, and then we're just firing normal firepower, trying to slow the Russians down. He again failed a task check. He fails a task check. Got CXs. The guys are doing good and keeping track of that task check thing. This guy fails task check too. Look, all 3 of those units. He got 4 units in this turn that failed a task check. That's crazy. So next turn, we have a decent possibility that at least one of these guys is not going to be able to move at all. So that's something we might consider. If these guys have a slight possibility, a decent possibility of not moving, considering 4 CX, we might want to change the ability of these guys. Maybe these guys need to penetrate deeper, since these guys, may not be able to move next turn. This guy's stuck out in the open. There's not a lot around him, but again, that's stuck out in the open. This guy's in a building. This guy's in the open. They get to advance, but if they advance in the open, they may stay home in the open. So it may affect your movement options as you proceed during your turn, seeing all your units get CX by that scenario special rule. That melee is still going. Wow, this is crazy. Still going. Again, do the Russians like that, or do the Germans like that, or both?
Russians.
Yeah, the Russians not bad because they can kill him, right? But the Germans are also tying down more units. This is the 3 units that's going to be stuck in this location for at least a turn. So if they were here,
I didn't see that extra guy in there. I thought the Russians just had 1 in there.
Yeah, the 248, I think, was dead. They got a CX on this bad boy. Now we got 2 squads in there. Hopefully he's dead next turn. We don't know. We don't know yet.
Did they enter both of those Russian units in?
Yeah, I think
close combat the first time, because that seemed kind of stupid.
Yeah, I think they're both right here. I'm not what phase of rally phase. So maybe he rolled what did he roll? Close combat 7 and a 6. He must have just CR'd him right now. He must have just CR'd the squad. I'm not sure. And the other one may have killed the half squad.
Okay, so they went back in there now they're trying to kill off the half squad.
Right now,
I don't think that's a good move by the Russians.
Oh, jumping in there? Yeah, if he's a full squad. Yeah, if he's a full squad, that's kind of tough. That's kind of tough. But you're surrounding him now, so that's.
Yeah, well, it's just your whole advantage as the Russians is you've got so many more squads as the Germans. Why would you want to throw 2 guys in there, even with such a good advantage?
Right.
Just to kill off a half squad.
That's a 4-1. What's a 4-1? Like an 8, 9, something like that. A 9's failable. I mean, a 9's easy to roll to fail a close combat if he needs a 9. Yeah, 1 should be able to. 1 is a 7. There should be, plus he's a half squad. You just need a CR, so a 7 does a trick, and you can move the other guy forward. And again, guy broken here. Maybe it's decision because you got a guy broken here, and there's 3 squads here. Again, there's 3 squads here. If they can move it back, they can start cutting off the easy access path. Right, we're in turn 4. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 moves. How many movement phases will it take to walk down the street? Just from these guys here, this guy here. How long will it take this guy to get off the board? From Q8, with no fire on him.
Is it 3?
Yeah, this will be 1.5, 3, advance. 1.5, 3, advance. 1.5, 3. 3 turns. Yep. This guy, assuming he passes his task checks, and he's not CX'd. He's got turn 7. with no fire. He can prep fire one time. This guy prep fires one time. He is legit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 hexes from exiting, and he has 4 turns to get off the board. He can only prep fire one time, or he stays on the board. Okay. This guy back here, can this guy even make it off? Squad K. This, as the Russian, is what you need to be looking at. Can he get off? Can these guys get off?
I don't think anybody in this row or back can make it. I mean, 1.5, 3 advance, 1.5, 3 advance, 1.5, 3 advance. Unless they're stacked with a leader, they're not going to get off.
Yeah, 1.5, 3 advance. 1, 2.
Right, you would just make it.
Right.
1.5. Yeah, you'd be 1, 3, 4. Yeah, he literally can't fire, but he can still get off. He can barely get off the map.
Right. He can't prep fire at all. This guy, leader, yeah, don't worry about that. This guy might be able to prep fire one time. Same thing with him. How about these guys? Okay. Because this may affect the Germans' plan. Do we need these guys down here?
Yeah.
Do we even need them down there? Yeah, let's do it. Take the easiest route. What's the easiest route? It looks like 2 woods minimum, right, guys?
Mm-hmm.
So 1.5, 3 advance.
Yeah.
1.5, 2, 3.5 advance.
Yeah.
3 advance. That's 4 movement phases.
Yeah, so you can still just get them off.
They could just get off. Just get off. Now, okay, now what we know, he has to go through the shortest route. Can he get off through the thicker route? If we abandon the bottom and move these guys up to here, like say right here, can he get there?
3 advance.
3,
1.5, 3
Probably could.
advance.
2, 4.
2, 4 advance. Yeah, he can still get off.
He can still get off. Okay. If these guys don't move, what do the Germans need to do with this guys? If they don't move in turn 5, if they shoot in turn 5, they prep fire in turn 5.
Oh, then they can't get off. Yeah, certainly turn 5. Yeah, 3 turns is going to do it.
All right. Okay, next question. Next question. You have these guys here. You've got a sizable force here. Germans, do the Germans make a decision to send them both up there since he can still get off? What happens if we put this unit, let's say, let me clone him. Let's say we do something like this. We, at the end of this turn, we advance this guy here. This guy CX. That's going to be a 4 falling snow. What's the attack from this unit to this unit?
Following turn is going to be 4, at least 4 up 2.
4 up 2. Do we care about that with 8 morale, gentlemen?
Not really.
Nah, 4 up 2. We laugh at that shit. Fire all you want. Again, if you fire, what are you not doing?
You're not moving.
You're not moving. But we don't care about this guy. We care about these guys. What will a lot of players do? What position have you just put the Russians in? If he's here, and let's say this guy moves back over here and he just stays here, the Russians can avoid the point-blank fire. You've just moved him up where the Russians can't avoid the point-blank fire or subsequent burst fire that's point-blank from this unit, because that's a building. Right? It's a building hex. That's 2 movement factors. That's a lot. Can we go through it? Well, we can go 1.5, 3 advance, right? We can do that. Same thing here, but now we've just generated some point-blank fire opportunities more than just what's down here. And we have also generated the possibility that the Russian player says, oh shit, I got 4 turns, plenty of time. Fire away. What's going to happen when these Russians fire? What happens when these guys fire on turn 5? It'll be turn 5 because Axis moves second. Next turn comes along. Turn 5, we say, open ground. We only got +1 falling snow. 8 + 1. I get a morale check. He passes, pins, whatever. He's 8 morale still. He's still badass. He prep fire, turn 5.
I don't think he can get off at that point.
Right. Now what do you do with this squad? Because this guy's got to move, right? Let's say he moves over here. You know, 1.5, 1.5, 3.5 advance. Let's just say he makes it over there somewhere. What's this guy doing in the axis turn 5? This guy's gone. We're going to move this guy, and he's going to move over here somewhere. Let me clone that. Damn, I don't want to clone the LMG. Delete. Hold on a sec. Give me 1 second. Let me unhit this guy. Let me clone this. Okay. We're going to move over here with our leader. All right. Our leader moves up here. All right. So we're over here protecting our gap. He advanced here. This guy moved back here. And during this turn. All right. So that's what we're showing the Russians at the beginning of their turn, is this situation. He says, "Oh, if I break him, I'm free and clear, baby. Free and clear." He's still covering the gap. As soon as these guys prep fire, we don't care what happens this unit. Let's say he passes the mark check. These guys are essentially dead. What are you going to do with this German squad? This unit here moves up to here because he doesn't take the point blank shot. So he goes boom, boom. And you're gonna fire on him. Let's just say nothing happens. He's got 8 morale. Or these guys could technically be here taking that shot as well. So because then he has to move. What are you gonna do with this guy here? These guys can't get off. Do you need any more defense down here?
Not really.
Nope. Oh, you move him away. This guy goes here.
Also, you got your German reinforcements that come on this turn.
Right. Where are the German reinforcements not coming if these guys prep fire? Where are you not moving those reinforcements? Even if this guy breaks.
Down in here.
You are not moving them to the bottom because these guys are no longer an impact on the game in terms of getting off. They might be able to break a unit over here, but you can shift more of your defense up to this area up here because this is where you're in up shit creek. You're up shit creek anyway. That's where he may go anyway, and he may test us over here. But let's say if they were kind of equivalent. These are kind of equivalent. If you slow them up here, then you've got it a little bit made. Now, going back to the movement. So if these guys prep fire, this guy moves away and starts covering the middle. Now, how do we count the movement off going this way, right? 1.5, 3 advance, 1.5, 3 advance, 1.5, 3 advance. So 1.5, 3 advance, 2, 4 advance, 2, 4 advance. Same movement. So for all intents and purposes, the open ground is pretty much 2 movement factors for squads. For leaders, you can move 4. Squads, you're moving 2 in the open ground or 2 in the woods. It doesn't matter. Okay? So everything is a 2 hex move with an advance. So again, you might consider, doing the old body block, just throwing some German units up there. And technically you could still do that. You could simply body block and throw a wall of units because he can't get down through here. I mean, it's kind of cheesy. It's cheesy as hell. I wouldn't do that. I would just fire. And then, later on if I have a squad, then you do it. But that shouldn't be your primary method of cheesing the game. But just going back down here, you only need 1 prep fire and he's done. Then this guy just runs away. Or comes up through here to deter some route paths because you got the route master right here in the center. 9-2 can reach almost any unit that breaks. So you got Mr. Route Path here. So that's something to consider as the game develops. Why are we thinking that now on turn 4? Because we have to take the movement scenario special rules into consideration throughout the entire game. They just came into play, right? They just came into play. What's he likely to forget? I would forget it. I know I've forgotten stuff like this. Hell, I won't remember till turn 6. I won't remember the special effects. These guys did. The Russians, these guys are sharper than I am, so they remember their task checks. But I would probably forget the task checks, and then so on and so forth. So it makes a big difference in making sure those scenario special rules are being conducted properly, because that just makes a difference in the game. So here's the reinforcements come up top. Oops, let me unhip these guys. He just bowls him right at the top. Good spot, because that's where he's got a giant gap. These guys just kind of skulk back. Scoot this over a little bit. And does he fire? Are we firing? No, that's German's turn. So the German sets up a giant line of death. As the Russian's like, oh shit. At least he breaks one of them. Yeah, this is where the 9-2's got to come up and kick somebody's ass. This is the Allied turn. What happened in the Allied player's turn? This is Allied turn 5. What happened? In the bottom right.
They fired.
They fired, as well as this go. With the falling snow, 4+3, are you going to get an effect against an 8 morale unit? Nope. You ain't going to get shit. Think of it. For you to get an effect on this guy, you need to roll what? Real quick. Where's my chart? Where's my chart? 4+3. I need to roll a 3 for a morale check. I need to roll a 3 for him to roll an 8 or less. And I can't move. Right? I can't move. And I need to roll a 3. He needs to roll an 8 or less. So both of those are like, it's like an 85% chance this guy's going to remain unscathed. If you move here, let's say he doesn't fire, he waits point blank, then you move here. Right? And he takes an 8 with the falling snow. That'll be an 8 minus 1. You have an 8 morale. Let's see, he rolls a 7. He rolls a 1 morale check. What do you need to remain unscathed? Our 458 runs up in the front. Instead of firing, mind you, we clone him. He goes here, and he goes here, and they get shot at, right? We're not concerned about this guy here. Well, he's prep fired, so. Moves here, moves there. He fires at him, he fires at him. Well, he might, well, let's assume these guys didn't prep fire either. He's definitely going to fire at him, right? That's obvious. So what's he need to get an effect on this unit right here? In this scenario, remember, this is at -2 in the open. What is it, Mark? If he's still here.
Yeah, no, I'm still here. Sorry, I was fighting the mute. Well, it's 8 minus 1 at that point.
Right.
You know, so you're looking. You're still looking at.
Let's say he rolls a 7, right? He rolls a 7.
Yeah, if he rolls a 7, that would be a 6. So it's still a 1 morale check.
Right.
So you get about 50% chance of, you know, about 60% chance of passing that, but you might get pinned.
Right.
Yeah.
If we pin, at least we have a 4 shot on him. What's this shot here versus this shot here? What's the difference between this shot? Let's assume these are woods for sake of argument. These are woods hexes right here. Not buildings, woods. What's the modifier from this shot to that shot? And then what's the prep fire attack? He fired 4 plus what?
If it's woods, it would have been what? +1 for the woods, +1 for the hindrance.
Right.
So
4
plus 2.
4 plus 2, right?
Yeah.
What's the difference between this shot and this shot against this guy right here? What's this firepower in the advanced fire phase?
Provided you're not pinned, yeah, it's still a 4. Yeah, it's still a 4 up 2. Yeah.
4 up 2. What's the difference between the situations?
Well, you're a couple hexes closer.
You're a full movement phase closer, and you're firing the exact same shot. Of course, this is +2, but for sake of argument, let's say they were in shittier terrain, you still wouldn't take that shot. You would probably want to move closer to your objective. Our objective is, gentlemen,
Berlin.
Berlin, getting the hell off the board, not breaking these guys. Because where are these guys going to go when they break? Where are they going? They break. Let's say you got them both. You popped them both. You rolled a 3 here and you rolled a 3 there, and they both broke because they rolled 9s. Where are they going? Specifically, where is he going?
Oh, to the leader.
Down to the leader. Okay? It's Russian player 5. You broke him. They're going to attempt rally in the German player turn. All right? This guy's not here. He's off the board. You're behind the building. These guys are broken and DM behind him. Clone. I'm just going to put them right here. Not going to break them. Just going to hit these guys. Broken and DM on the leader. In the German player turn, we need what to rally these units? A couple fives, right? 5-5?
Oh, sorry. Yes.
A couple fives. So let's say we don't rally either one of them. Do the Germans give a shit? So the route, nothing happens.
Really.
No, not really. Because what happens in the allied player turn, the next turn? Huh? What happens in the allied player turn? The DMs are gone, right? Because you can't fire on us. You can't re-DM us. Nobody's in LOS. This is a great placement of a leader. Nobody's in LOS. Can't shoot him. Can't shoot him. What do we need now to rally?
9.
One guy explodes, one guy's up. Okay. Right? And then he moves, right? And then he moves, and we still get to shoot at him.
Yep.
So moral of the story is, the German's going to get to shoot at you whether you move or not. So, because we need to move, you might as well move. The shot's going to be the same. Your defense is pretty much going to be the same, and you're achieving your objective. If these units on the bottom were to get closer, especially if they get like a fire group, now they get 12 plus. They could advance fire 6+3, and then 12+3, maybe defensive fire if he skulks again, right? Well, if he skulks, he's not going to be able to defensive fire. But then if we take this, then he's definitely got to get the hell out of Dodge. But we're creeping towards him, getting closer. Creeping towards him, getting closer. And if one of our units breaks down here, let's say we line them up in Q3, Q2, Q1. All these guys here. Clone. Right? Clone. These guys are lined up here. Let's say we got one of these little bastards or something like that. He's broken. Okay. And say he's as this 468. Who are you going to? First of all, who are you going to target? If you're faced with this, number R1, let's say you're going to fire. Let's say you selected to choose to fire because that's just what you've done. I don't care why. You're going to fire. Who are you going to target? Why are you going to target that unit?
Break up any fire group.
Breaks up the fire group. High priority target, low priority target. Not even a target, not even a consideration. This guy can route back prop easily. This guy has no impact on that. Break it up to avoid the blast. Okay. You know, you can take an 8+3. This is a 4+3. You're just laughing at him. You're just you know, out the window at the Russians, and it doesn't matter. And if this unit breaks, as the Russians, as he shoots you and he breaks, where are you routing to? Any other selectives? Any other selections? Any other selections? This isn't bad. Let's assume this guy's not here. Let's assume that guy is there. So
I'm sorry. Which unit are you concerned about?
This guy
right
here. Let's assume this guy is there, so we can't select this location because it's closer, right? So you're here, and you break. We have a choice back here. Are you routing any other location? Anybody have any other position or spot they would route to, other than back here and then possibly continuing on? Right. That's 1, 3. That's 5 right there. It's 5 to here, 5 to there. Not approachable. This is 5 over here. That's a possibility, right? Are there any other locations other than these 3 that you would route to? And why? What's your victory conditions?
Well, I mean, your victory conditions are try to go west, but I don't see how you can route
Yeah.
left.
Right. My point is,
Low crawl, 1 hex back.
go 1 hex. This is a full movement phase.
Crawl instead of right. I mean, you have to
Yeah.
technically you have to choose one of those locations as your route destination.
Right. Yeah.
Crawl. Yeah.
But you're only moving 1 hex.
Right. Yeah.
Is he going to fire on this unit even if you lose DM? We're going to lose DM. Is he going to fire at that unit? Let's say this guy. Let's say he's a coward. This guy routes away, and then they just kind of scoot around. Is he going to fire at the broken unit?
No.
As a Russian, you hope he is because because he doesn't do anything, right? But yeah, he's not going to fire at this guy. And the way the Germans are playing, he's playing a smart game. He's definitely not going to fire at the guy. Therefore, you just saved yourself a full movement phase. He could rally, especially if he broke you in your turn, right? If he broke you in your turn, if you moved up, assault moved up, he goes blam 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 because I want to break up the fire group. You route back 1 hex. You don't self rally in his turn. Won't lose the DM because you're in normal range, but at least you'll get a chance to roll and you're 2 hexes closer, which is at this point it'll be turn 6. If you route back here, you might as well flick the counter off the board because he will not have an impact on the victory conditions in terms of points getting off. Yeah, he could rally and break this guy, which allows somebody else. That's fine and dandy, and that's exactly the only thing that he could do at that point. And you have to realize that once these guys fire, the only thing they could do are fire on other units, subsidiary units that can impact the other guys getting off, because not everybody's getting off. And as long as you plan for that as the Russians, you're fine. You know, if you say, okay, bottom guys aren't getting off, they're just going to tie up Germans. As long as you can do that effectively, that's perfectly fine. That's an absolutely sound strategy, because not everybody's getting off. So anyway, I just want to bring this up because he's been skulking the whole time. Maybe, just maybe, if you go to Q2, you really bait that shot. Again, you don't care if you break because, you know, at that point, you know, if you assault move here and you break, where are you moving the leader then? The leader just moves up and hopefully tries to rally him. All right? So hopefully you can get that. And if they shoot at you again, you route back away and he tries to rally you again. So that's the general gist of that. But if you get these guys to fire, then you're doing your game plan a service. So let's continue with the log. Sorry, I just had to stop right there. Again, that's a little tactical, like understanding the victory conditions. Remember, we're not forgetting about the victory conditions during the game. We know, the Germans know, these guys got to go this way or possibly through them here to get off the board. So do we need to occupy the buildings? No, they're not part of the VC. Do we need to break anybody? Not necessarily. I mean, it would be great, but if we could stop them from getting off, then that's the way it is. I mean, that's what we're here for. And so we're cruising here. It is Axis turn 5 in this at this point in the game. Defensive firing does break that guy. Interestingly enough, this guy prep fires. Now he's certainly dead, right? These guys are certainly can't do anything right now. So they just maybe, I don't know. There's a couple guys failed their task checks too, so that's another thing we have to look about. And these guys are moving up. He moved back a hex. Again, do we want to move back a hex in this scenario? Probably not.
No.
Probably not. We have 8 morale. We could take this shot. We could take all these shots, especially this guy CX. That's, you know, come on. That's even. That's an 8 even shot. We got 8 morale. I'll take that all day. I'll take that all day. So it just gets kind of tough here. The Germans got the defense is just kind of bolstering up at the top. Snow stops, it looks like, which is the worst thing for the Russians. You know, at this point, the snow drops. Yeah, it looks like the other roll was a 3, so the falling snow stopped. Now there's no +1 hindrance. Now they get shot to hell. That's like the worst. That's like a movie. The snow stops or the lights come on or something shit like that. All the Russians out in the open. He is making his way. Unfortunately, our leader got popped, which is 3 points. Because this was a win right here. If these guys get off, that's a win. But at turn 7, Russians really don't have a ton of options now, especially when the 2 giant stacks move to the back. We're kind of out of options at this point. So he's just got to run it. He did get the 9-2 off, 3 victory points. Not bad considering the situation that he was in. He at least got 3 off, so that's a good deal there. So do you see how this kind of developed? A couple guys failed the task checks. The snow dropped. The snow came on. The Russians made good headway with the snow. Just attacked, close combat. It didn't seem like he put a lot of pressure on in terms of getting closer and engaging, like Not Sure was saying. You know, get close, get engaged. You can exchange 1 for 1, you win. If you exchange 1 for 1, you win the game. So you just want to jump up, bully, get into his face, you know, and just cause havoc. Same thing down here. If you can get up in these guys' faces, cause havoc. If one guy gets there, gets one guy close combat, and the other guy is, you know, essentially his firepower is ineffective at that point because it's going to be 4+1 for the falling snow, then your other guys can pretty much move freely because one's going to take the shot. He's going to be first fired, then everyone moves behind him. Not very fast, of course, but everyone can move behind him, and so it will minimize the shots. You may never get this guy out of close combat, but you're getting 2 guys past him. One guy dies, the other 2 guys passed. And one other guy could die to get the other guy past. And that's 2 points. We got 3 up here from the leader, right? If we leapfrog these guys, if we sacrifice 2 guys to get 1 guy off, that's 5 points. That means we only need 1 more squad, right? We only needed 1 more squad at that point. So it doesn't take much to get there. You just got to keep moving. The snow really helps, as we saw here. Really helps. And when it stopped, I think if the snow was still here, I think these guys probably, I didn't check the rolls, but if the snow was still going, you know, these are decent shots. That's assault move advance phase on turn 7, and then assault move advance phase on turn 8. You know, at that point, you know, 12+1, you still got 8 morale. They're still pretty decent morale. So that was a tough one. That was a tough one to lose. So let me pop the other. We got 30 minutes. Let me pop the other one, and let's see how that one goes. Scenario 46, where the winter lingers. Absolutely. Oh, this is 663. Hopefully this one blow up. Okay, you can sync to me as well. I think we come on to section H. Turn 1, A through H through X. Yeah, H through X. Okay, interesting. Okay. So G row is off board. Y row is off board on this one. I kind of like the way they did this. Kind of nice. So it kind of gives you a hex where the guys have moved off or something like that, or where they come on. Especially when they've kind of double cropped the board. It's a great idea. You know, it's a full hex. So because, you know, that way you don't have to worry about, you know, putting guys kind of weird on the outside. Pretty much the same defensive setup. Machine guns, I think, exactly the same spot. LMGs, exactly the same spot. We got some Germans up front. So again, take into consideration those special rules. We actually CX, we actually get in the woods in the bottom. No top push at this point. Looks like more of a middle bottom crunch. Germans are adjusting. Good move there. Good strong firepower in the middle. Russians are creating giant fire groups so they get defensive fire. Hopefully break some units. They all advance fire, nothing happens. Routes to 9-2 leader, good position. And they all move in the open. Point blank. They all go in the open. Do we care if these guys break? No. Why? We got a 9-2 in the back. He's gonna be.
And it looks like they got the snow early.
Oh yeah, it sure looks like. Wow. Yeah, snow early is golden. It is absolutely golden. Look at this. All of these guys advanced. Whole line. Especially if you got the snow. If you don't have the snow, do you do that? Maybe. You still may do that. But definitely with the snow, that's +1. You're in woods. You're point blank in woods. It's +1 shot. 8+1. 16+1. Not bad. If you break, where are you going? Leader. You know, this guy. It's probably not. He's probably going to jump in close combat. I don't know. That this is a not with the LMG. I wouldn't bother. But a leader in a squad in close combat makes that a 1-2 to your 1-1. I'd probably, if he's going to jump into close combat, I wouldn't never ever take any support weapons in close combat. You're going to lose them most of the time, unless you have no other choice. Because it's just, this would be better served at a 12+, you know, point blank or something like that, or just a target. You know, make him, hey, the LMG's coming, I'm going to fire at that guy because he's more powerful. Pins, we don't care. One guy breaks, leader breaks, surprisingly. Fauna fire, pop, pop, pop. All those guys fire. Nothing. We got one pin. Okay, he routes. He routes back to the leader. You're right. He can't route. He can't route. Why couldn't he route here?
He'd be getting closer to the pinned unit. He'd be getting closer to the pinned unit.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. Good try. Good try on the. It's the Axis player turn, so really couldn't do anything about that. This guy's more for these guys breaking, which again, more than likely, these guys are going to take shots, and so yeah, that's just one of those things. We're not going to worry about that. Why? Because there's only one squad broken. This is going to he'll need an 8 to rally. So. With this up in front of the Germans' face, are we going to fire at the broken unit? Nah, we're not going to fire at the broken unit. We need to break all the other guys.
Oh.
Unless you've got like unless this LMG down here has got nothing else to do, maybe he could DM him. It depends. You know, you might consider that. It will give him another route possibility, but do we care about that? Maybe, maybe not. Does the 6+1 make a difference? The one broken unit might. It is LMG. So again, Russians pushing because we have the snow. Still turn 3, right? We still have full movement capabilities.
Yep.
Full movement capabilities is end of turn 3. These are advances. Let me move this bad boy over a little bit. These are advances, and we got a melee. Look what happened here. How does this compare to the other melee we had up here? Same one, right?
Oh yeah, it does. Yeah.
Half squad firing a squad. He's not CX'd, thank goodness. But why are we doing that? Well, we got a squad here. We got a squad here. We got 2 other squads right here. We're swamping him. If this guy doesn't kill him in close combat, these guys are past him. They're past him. They just burn by him. They're not going to jump. Hopefully they won't jump. We got one break in the middle. Again, we got a big break in the middle. Leader breaks. And then MMG is pinned. The other guy moves up. The falling snow moved. I'm not sure if that means it's off or not. Oh yeah. I'm not sure if the 12 is the falling snow, but anyway, the falling snow counter moves, so I don't know what the modifiers might be here. Lots of fire, like 8 residual, 4 residual. That's one hell of a wall. Which all the leaders, look where the leaders are. They're just kind of trudging forward. This is crazy. Oh, the 9-2. He moved the 9-2 and 2 squads to join in.
Wow.
Would you move this 9-2 in this close combat, gentlemen?
That's a tough. That's a tough call. If you just literally want to just use him as the point of the spear and just bash him in, maybe. But you lose that leader, you're going to lose a lot of potential to get a lot of victory points.
Right. It's in SK. Well, we all know this guy and the squad could go 1-to-1 against your leader and squad. A 4, and these guys are gone from the game.
Yeah, that's true. You can just attack. You can just attack you take 1-to-1 against the one squad. Certainly German, you probably do that.
Yeah, you're doing that all day. If we move the 9-2 here with 1-4-5-8, let's say we throw one in there. I don't have a problem throwing one in there, because if he CRs you, then only one of those guys gets CR'd, so we don't really care about that. That's more units. Essentially, it's 3 half squads we could CR and lose. 9-2, 4-5-8 here. Let's say he stays there. We fire point blank. That's an 8 with no snow. That's an 8 even. A 7 is a 1 morale check on our guys. We got 2 morale checks. He's got 2 morale checks. If you're desperate, can you do that? Sure. If they break, they're dead. If you break, you're probably going to be dead, but he's still going to be close combat, and then everyone else fires on you. So a 9-2, can you make that roll easier? Yes, it makes a roll far easier. Is it a risk that you can take? I don't know. At this point, it kind of looks that way, but you never know in ASL, right? You never know. This guy's in close combat. This could go south. This goes south. The game could turn. These guys are pinned. They can't go into close combat, right? And we got a melee back here. This guy, hopefully this will be over. That's shit, 3 squads. So we got a wounded leader. He's not getting off. This guy's not getting off. He's a 1 point less that you're going to get. This guy's 3 points, and you need 7. And there's 2, 4, 6, 7. So you need like 60% of this force off and not broken. And I don't think his reinforcements have come on yet. No, his reinforcements come on now. And you need 60% of this force. So that's a tough call. But just be wary. If you want to make that call, not a problem. But you better not screw around. I mean, that's a 1-to-1 is even a casualty reduction can kill you. A 5 can cause you the loss of that leader. So let's roll dice. See, up close. So 7, average 7. So, but a 5 can cost you that leader. 3 points. 3 points. He does vaporize them, but if we do lose here, that's 1 spot we lost. So 1 for 1, but that's okay. We can exchange 1 for 1, right? We can exchange 1 for 1. This is not a setback. If you lost that close combat, don't say, oh shit. You know, you've got plenty of guys, 1 for 1 over here, especially since you killed the leader. That is 100% acceptable. And his 9-1's wounded. So he has his capabilities are much reduced. You pick up the little LMG. Maybe not. Looks like he dropped it. Got some guys being broken. All the guys in the middle are broken. Broken and moved. 9-2 moves up, just runs up. Oh, there's nothing to stop him. Jumps into close combat, vaporizes him. Looks like he get a leader creation. Again, another point here. Leader creation. What does that do for us when we have a leader being created right there, gentlemen? What happened?
Another
chance for points.
So another victory point. We just one just came out of nowhere. We lost it back here, but we just transport him. It's like he teleported to the front. We just teleport 1 victory point to the front, and he's a leader. He can move units. So that's not that we need it right here in this case, but 6+1. How many points is a 6+1 leader worth getting off the board?
Still 1.
He still won, and he gets to move troops. 4 hexes. Very valuable. And then these guys just kind of break. There's really not much left at this point. But we saw the difference between the games, right? This one ends on turn 5. And they were about in the same location, right? Other than the 9-2. The Russians were like right here, about turn 4, turn 5. So they're about in the same location as the other game. You know? What was the difference between the two?
This guy, like Russians kept moving.
Yeah, kept moving and just kept pushing. Yeah, just
pushing.
And he went adjacent to a whole bunch of guys that were point blank. Everybody's, I mean, he's got LMG down here, point blank, medium. Everybody was adjacent and just, it's like you're gonna take me out. 4.47s. He may have been like shredded, right? He may have been if you have a wall of 4.47s up there, the Germans with 8 morale could possibly shred your entire force, right? But 8 morale. Know that your 8 morale saves the day. It really saves the day. And he got a couple guys pinned. His advanced fire really wasn't that effective. I don't think he broke any Germans. But what happened after that? Boom, boom, boom. Jump to close combat, point blank shots, 12, 16 firepower, moving guys up. 16 firepower on those guys. Getting guys closer, taking CRs. We got a half squad down here. CR. I think we got a CR guy over here. One guy I think got vaporized over here. But we're still shoving forward. Do we have a lot of guys left at the end of this game? Look what we have left.
You got, 10 squads, if this is right?
Well, these guys are broken, so I'm going to discount those.
All right.
So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squads, and 3 leaders. So half our force. How many of the Germans are left?
Nothing.
Right, one guy, right?
Half squad.
So we exchanged 1 for 1, and what's he got left? Just his reinforcements. Now it's 7-3. Can we beat 7-3 with 8 morale? You damn well tootin' we can. And so even though this looked like he just kicked the living shit out of him, he still only has 7 squads left. You know, the Germans need to kill, you know, just an itch more to make it difficult for the. Can he, you know, if we didn't break in the open here, you know, there's still some possibility that, you know, if we get a shot on this stack here, you know, obviously he's going to split up. But now, you know, with these guys broken, the Germans can possibly, you know, grab a unit, you know, maybe close combat. I don't know. I'd go close combat against CX units for sure. Tie him up, pin him down, maybe kill him. And that way, let's say if we kill this one guy, let's say they all split up and they all were over here, and we caught the 248 and we jumped to close combat. Now he's got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 with the leader that he got lucky and created. So we kill one, he has barely 7 to get off. So if we just break the 7-0, that he's got to get one of these little buggers off. So even in this situation where it looks like he trounced the Germans, do the Germans need any units to win this game?
Oh,
They don't need a single unit on the board to win the game.
Yep. Yep.
If the Russians take no casualties, they still need 7 points off. The Germans don't need to survive. They don't need to capture terrain. They need to delay. They need to crunch, punch people in the face, and hopefully do a fallback defense like the other guy did. You know, it was just 2 different types of attacks. This one was actually more in the open, took more point blank shots than the other guy. Different result. The other guy kind of swung up to the top. Not a bad plan. I mean, you know, you see daylight at the end of the road, go for it. That was the plan. It just fell a little short. You know, if the other guy may have shoved 2 or 3 squads right in the middle, you know, right in the center area where the 9-2 kind of is, what does the German player do? He's probably got to react to it. Maybe he can't stack so many units up in the top left corner to defend against the other guys. Remember, even the other Russian player got the leader off 3 points. And that's with the entire German force firing at him. So if we have guys in the middle, if we just an inch more aggressive with our 8 morale, knowing that we have 8 morale, if we're inch more aggressive in the middle to distract him, well, hell, that's the same distance, right? We count the same distance. Almost every hex, the open ground's the same thing as going through woods, effectively, unless you have a leader, right? Effectively, it's the same movement. So the entire board is uniform for us. It doesn't matter what it is. If we catch a path, we catch a path. So he's got to block that path, which means less firepower up top, which means I think the Russians could have easily won that last one. So even though it looked like they had him bottled up in that corner, getting shredded, he got the... First of all, the 9-2 broke earlier, the previous turn. He rallied him and still got him off. You know? A couple units here. Let's say he moves, you know, a squad and a half. 2 squads down in the middle, and one takes a CR, and then those guys possibly maybe get off. Maybe. Because he had the other guys down here, right? These guys were locked up down here because these guys were firing. These guys were locked up. Which, again, these guys can be used to lock these guys up so they can't react to your 3 victory points moving in the middle. That's a possibility. No problem with that. But you got 3 moving in the middle. You got 9-2 off. You got 1 half squad left to go. You could legit take K1 shots on all your guys and just pass that 1 morale check. Why? We're 2-4-8s. We're going to be passing lots of those morale checks. Right? We could be, every result that he shoots could be a K1. We don't care. We just need 1 point off because you already got a 9-2 and possibly 3 points off this way. So again, they look very different, but I think they're extremely close games. Extremely close games in terms of 1 or 2 things could happen to really, excuse me, flip it the other way. So that's my... Well, I need some water. Hold on a sec. So, like I say, even though the perception of the other game was a complete fiasco, I don't think it was. I just think he got kind of bogged down a little bit. Maybe one turn difference. And that's all it takes. And this one here, he pushed hard. and he managed to overwhelm the German forces, and then he came out ahead. You know, we did lose the CC over here, and if we would have lost, if let's say that 9-2, let's say the 9-2 and a squad were killed in close combat, and then the Germans were annihilated. What do we not have here? How many points do we have in this location now? Because the 9-2 went up there and killed our guys, for one thing. But we just lost 3 points. So we don't have those guys in that location. Now we only have, let's say we killed them in close combat, got the same result. Now we only have 2 points here, or 3 points here. 4, 5, 6, 7. This is still a game. And these guys probably wouldn't have moved in the open, right? They probably would have just taken defensive positions. You know. So at this point, this becomes really hard for the Russians. Even though nobody's in front of them, they still got to move. And if we have viable Germans down here in the bottom, that didn't have to move out in the open to take on the 9-2, it really changes the complexion of the game. This one melee in this one spot could have cost the Russians dearly. It didn't, but it could have. We did lose a CC over here, and that was a 1-to-1. That was the exact same roll. If that roll was here, completely different game. Completely different game. So be careful with your close combat. So 9-2s are great to have. You want that modifier, but use those on IFT charts. Let him jump you. Let him jump you. Why is it better for him to jump you as a 9-2 in concealment terrain? Why do you want him to jump you? Mark?
I mean, versus
you jumping him in close combat. Why do you want him to jump you in close combat? In concealment.
Well, you get the -2 on the ambush roll regardless.
Right. But at least he has to take the advantage of you. You're firing on him the entire time, right?
Okay.
So you're firing on him the entire time. If he's jumping you, and there's a possibility with the scenario special rule, he might be CX'd anyway because he may have failed a task check to get to you. And then you really have him. So again, at this point, if that guy gets delayed one turn, can he make it off? Yeah, possibly. But you might not be able to fire anywhere. And at that point, the Germans could do a body block on you, a body wall block on you, and really screw you up. So, but interesting games. Like I said, interesting little games here. Small board, simple, not a lot of support weapons, not a lot of bling, but the scenario special rules really change the tempo and the conduct of the game. If this was no scenario special rules, just open ground, this is a Russian win every single time. I don't care how you draw it up. It's going to be a Russian win every single time. They all just charge the bottom, they all just charge the top, and they just get off if it's normal movement. Because I mean, leaders with the squads can move 8 hexes. You got 8 turns. So the scenario special rules in this scenario make the game. So you must understand how much of an impact they will have on your game, and then play accordingly and plan accordingly, right? On both sides, not just the Russians, but the Germans as well, because you are the only one that can break when, as long as no one is, ELR failured, you're the only one that can break if you're CX. So not that it's going to happen, but because you only have 7 squads, that's a huge part of your force. Each one of your squad has to face 2 Russian squads. And, well, he kind of has the advantage in that, but he has to move. But any other questions or comments on this one, gentlemen? Nada? Okay. Well, in that case, that's all I got. That's all I got for you guys tonight. I just wanted to bring the emphasis of the scenario special rules, difficult ones. We have to discuss difficult ones, learn to understand them before the game, not during the game, before the game. Make sure you iron and mesh them out, and that way both players can play smooth games and have a great time. And that's pretty much what it's just all about. So, and as you saw here, 2 different games, 2 different attack plans, one top, one bottom. Both were very close. Both were very close to victory, in my opinion. Both were very close to victory. So, Fun game. Looks kind of fun. The snow's a bitch. Snow's a bitch. Yeah. So, but thank you for your time, gentlemen, and
Thank you.
have a great week. And if you guys have something that you want to look at future Tactical Tuesdays, let me know ahead of time, and maybe we can get together. We could chat about it. And then, like Craig had that discussion on residual firepower, absolutely fantastic discussion on residual firepower. Just a bang up job, stuff like that. If you guys are willing to do something like that, by all means, we'll turn it on. I'll press record, and you can go at it, baby. Just go at it, and then we can discuss it. This is just not my forum. This is your guys' forum first. You know, I'm just the guy with the camera. That's all. You know, getting those shots, getting those really good shots in there.
Cool.
We'll leave that as that. But anyway, thank you guys so much, and I enjoy watching you guys' games and listening to your discussions. And I appreciate you guys opening your games in Discord so everyone could listen in. It's funner that way, and you guys get to, you know, I get to hear your discussions and just see how it goes. That's all. So,
All right.
All right.
Sounds good. All right.
Good night, gentlemen.
Thank you much,
Night.
folks.
Take care.
Thanks, Stu.
So time to meet it.